Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the CIL, the Collegiate iRacing League, here on both Twitch and YouTube, presented by NextBookIt. We're joined up here in the booth once again by John D. Price and Joshua Crane. And guys, welcome back. And tonight we have the 1 mile, the Monster Mile, out in front of us. And boy, it's going to be exciting here tonight. John?
Yeah, definitely. This is a challenging track for these guys to tackle. I think Josh is going to take us through it a little bit. But yeah, so last 2 weeks ago at Daytona, what a finish we had there. And Henry Morse came away with the win there, closely followed up by Matthew Norberg and Derek Haas. I don't think I saw Haas's name on the roster tonight, so one driver down from that group. Henry Morse doing a good job of pitting it in P3 right now in practice. But bit different challenge tonight than what they had at Daytona. Much shorter track. It's a 1 mile track here, and it is a challenge. Big bumps on the entries to turn 3, and just a bumpy track overall. I've got my track notes in front of me, and I've got bumpy underlined 3 times, and that is not an exaggeration. So, Josh, what do you think about this track? How are these cars going to be able to handle it tonight?
I'll tell you what, there's going to be one storyline tonight, and it's going to be this guy. They are in short supply. These drivers tonight get especially 3 sets of tires. And guys, if anyone has spent a handful of laps on this racetrack, they know that those tires, that right front, the car wants to be tight. You go up and go over the bump onto the exits of both straightaways. And that's what we're going to watch tonight. That's where we're going to find our car contact. That's where we're going to find the skill that these drivers possess to get around, share the track, share lap traffic. And it's going to be tough for these guys, but that's going to determine who can conserve their tires and keep not just their best lap time, not who gets the most purple laps, but those averages across the race, and being able to put a run together, because they will happen. Being able to be there at the end, and maybe even save a set of tires for the end. So I'm looking to tires to tell the story tonight. That's going to dictate what cautions we have, who's leading, who can pass, and just how dicey these guys can be tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And I think working in a pack is going to be fairly crucial as well. That's going to be a challenging track to pass cleanly at, because the track tightens considerably on the exit. So you really probably don't want to be on the outside too often, going side by side on the exit of some of these corners. So pack battles are certainly going to be a factor here. Tell me a little bit about how these cars differ from the package we saw last week at Daytona. What's different on the cars that we're going to see tonight?
The NASCAR high horsepower package, and so we're going to see that 750 horsepower. You can see there we don't have a big spoiler on the back, just a small one there. Not going to have a lot of aerodynamic effects. So guys, these drivers are driving the cars. And we did some practice laps this week and learned that up over, as you see the 66 machine right now come out of the corner right there as he goes under that red bridge. He's going to have the car come up, get very light. He's going to have to feather the throttle, even on new tires. And then certainly as he goes right here, as he comes out to the wall. In fact, you can see he's using a little bit of caution there, because these guys know they have to get around this 115 times. And so they don't have a lot of room for error.
Yeah, definitely not. Right on board with Toomey right now. And you can just see how bumpy this track is. It's throwing the car around, especially as he enters turn 3 down there. He's going to bring it down, so that way he's even a little bit less aggressive of a bump than what most people are typically used to. So I wonder if that's the end of Thomas Toomey's qualifying. It was a 22.0, which is a pretty respectable time out there. The fastest time, that would have put him P4 in practice earlier. So Gage Anderson had a 22.018 in practice earlier. So I'm sure he's going to be looking to see if he can't match that. Although I think Gage Anderson already set that 20 slot 2 right now, but still plenty of time left in qualifying. These guys have 10 minutes to set 3 laps and get that hot lap in there, and really that's going to happen in those first 3 laps. The tires will not give you maximum grip after those 3 laps are over, so you'll see a lot of fast times early, then not much after that, as we're watching Matthew Norberg wrestle that car around the track. 24 degrees on the turns and then a full 9 degrees on the straights. It feels like you're really inside a bowl on this track. And Josh, how would you attack this track? Do you drag the brake a little bit on the corner entry, or is it just a lift for you?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's 2 ways to get in. If you're in the last lap, you got to go fast. What you're going to do is come up off this corner. You're on the gas, keep that steering wheel straight. You're looking down in the corner. You're going to go deep in that corner and then on the brakes hard. You see Nordberg getting down low, off the bottom a little bit, and then right back to the bottom, off the corner, up over the crest, coming off of turn 2. Now, if you're going to save tires, you might come in a little bit higher. And a lot of these guys will even save tires running that bottom. But John, you will lift. You will lift earlier. You'll use less brake, right? You're gonna ask a lot less of those tires as you go through the corner on entry, roll the center, on the exit. So also, if you want to save those tires, you're going to be rolling into the throttle a lot more kinder as you exit the corners, and then again, you won't be spinning those tires so much off the corner, even in a straight line as that car unloads. Very easy to spin those tires there. See Austin Farr, one of the experts here. Even the best of these drivers tonight are going to have to balance where they want to put amount of usefulness, and you have to figure out if you want to use them in the beginning of the run, at the end of the run, and how many runs we're going to have, right? Where will the cautions fall? It's a whole strategy that these guys are going to run through their heads and iterate all night long as they learn about the track changes, and the car changes.
Yeah, you mentioned Austin Farr just then. We saw his onboard camera there. He's currently sitting on pole right now, a 21.883, and that's nearly a full half-tenth faster than he was in practice. So finding a little bit of time, maybe the track's cooled down a little bit, but not the coolest track we've ever seen. So we've been talking about tires already, and it's definitely going to play a factor here tonight. They do have one extra set of tires for this race than normal. So they have 3 opportunities to put new tires on their cars, and we're expecting to see some cautions tonight. So guys may end up using all 3 tire sets, but I'll remind you who nearly won last week. I think Austin Farr didn't pit the entire time at Daytona, stretched his fuel and tires out the entire time, was able to maintain his lead for most of the race, just up until some weird traffic situations. But then this week's probably not going to be quite the case. I don't know. What do you think, Jarrett?
Yeah, it's much more of a driver's track we have here tonight. The 1 mile oval. Josh mentioned the tires. You saw the tire. And I really think that's going to cater to these guys who are able to take care of the car, who know when to push, who know when not to. We talked about patience last week on the restrictor plate. There's going to be a little bit of that tonight as well. So that 1 mile, it goes by pretty quick. We mentioned 115 laps here tonight. So you're going to want to get up front and stay there. But keep in mind that it is a long way to go. The track is pretty hot here tonight, so patience will be rewarded as well. So we might see some guys drop back, as you see Jared Kaler getting the wall off a 2 right there. Pay attention to that as well. Patience again, getting on that throttle out of turn 2 in this low downforce, high horsepower package might be tough for a couple of these guys.
Yeah, patience is going to be key. 115 laps, 115 miles to cover tonight, so they got a long way to go. Within the rough hour it's going to probably take them to do it, and if they stay clean, it'll go faster than that. But at a track like Dover, it is certainly not going to be clean the entire time. We can almost guarantee that. So, Jared, I think we got a few sponsors to introduce, don't we?
We do indeed. So we're going to turn it over to the good folks over at NextBookIt, and we'll be right back for the start of the race here at Dover. So NextBookIt connects book lovers with each other to buy and sell books, from textbooks to fiction, and really everything in between. For every account that is created with the code CIL 2021, that's CIL 2021, NextBookIt is going to put $5 toward the Collegiate iRacing League Scholarship Fund, which gets redistributed right to the drivers you see out on the track here tonight. Drivers who might need a little help, maybe getting a track that they don't have or getting a car that they don't have. NextBookIt provides that scholarship fund and gets these guys back on the track. And what a cool thing that is from NextBookIt. So next time you need books, forget the bookstore and just NextBookIt, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have NextBookIt on as a sponsor throughout the rest of the CIL. They were with us in the pilot season all the way to now, so been fantastic the entire time. But guys, it's getting close. The time for qualifying is coming to an end here, and it looks like Austin Farr sitting there on pole right now with that 21.883 Jared Kaler for UNC Charlotte just behind him, 21.9. Those are two guys that we always see up there at the front of the field. And then last week's winner, Henry Morse, with a 21.9. So we've got four guys at the front of the field in 21s, all within almost a tenth of each other. 0.101 seconds covers the top four guys from Austin Farr back to Matthew Nordberg. So going to be a really tight race up there at the front. But a couple other names further down the field that I'm looking to have a really good race tonight, especially I'm looking at like Christian Gomez, Jeremy Rogers down there in 8th, leading the alumni to the green flag. So I'm looking for both those guys to have a good race. Josh, what do you think? Who's going to be on top at the end of this?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm looking at Christian Gomez, Jeremy Rogers. They're fast, but I'm also looking at Gage Anderson, guys. He's made his debut this season from UT Arlington. We know they produce a good group of drivers, and so I'm looking for that patience, for that calmness to get him there at the end. That will be key. We're not going to win this thing in the first half of the race. It's going to have to be patience. It's going to have to be a little bit of shrewdness and cleverness to get to the end and make this work.
And how about you, Jarrett? What do you think?
I think it might be a little bit more of a toss-up than you guys think. I'm looking at a name actually a little further down that qualifying order, and it's going to be the newcomer, Michael Kolik, in the number 4 car. Pay attention to him from Angelo State, and would not be surprised if we see that car up towards the front here.
Yeah, making his debut from Angelo State University down there in San Angelo, Texas. Lovely little town if anybody gets the chance to head out that way. And yeah, we'll see if he can make his way towards the front of the pack, starting there in 10th right now. Overall 9th for the students, that would be, because he's got Jeremy Rogers 2 cars in front of him. So we're about to get ready here to take the green flag. Jarrett, why don't we get this grid going and give him a full rundown?
Absolutely. So you're going to see all the cars here on the grid as we get set to go. We'll keep in mind that the green windshield banners and the green spoilers signify a student, and the red windshield banners represent an alumni. So as we go down the overall order, Austin Farr up on the pole here tonight as we get set to rock and roll from here at Dover. Jared Kaler on his outside, just barely sneaking 4/100ths of a second off. Henry Morse will roll off 3rd from UC Berkeley, and Matthew Nordberg from NC State starts in 4th. Thomas Toomey will roll off 5th, and Ryan Fenty from St. Joe's in New York rolls off 6th. Christian Gomez from FIU, the first of our 3 FIU drivers here in the CIL, rolls off 7th, and Jeremy Rogers from Texas A&M in 8th. Gage Anderson in the 91 from UT Arlington starts 9th, and Michael Kolik from Angelo State, he's my pick to win, rolls off 10th. Andrew McCall from Purdue in the 018 car starts in 11th, and Carl Lemkuhl from St. Louis University will roll off 12th. Continuing on down your starting grid, Peter Stother from Heriot-Watt University in 13th, Esteban Munros from FIU in 14th, Jerron Valley from Washington in 15th, and Yuri Ismail from the University of Reading all the way down there in Australia. He starts in 16th. Prather Silverthorne from the Colorado School of Mines starts in 17th. Theodore Burns in 18th. Avery Walker from Virginia in 19th. And John Tyndall from VCU rolls off 20th. Derek Jennings from Grand Canyon University will start 21st. Cooper Glick, 22nd. Nathan Kuhl, 23rd. And downtown Kenny Brown starting in 24th. Rounding out your grid is going to be Scott Ratliff from Pittsburgh State. Alex Jensen from Embry-Riddle. Maximilian Bui from USC, Nick Beaver from North Dakota State, Roger Gregory from UNC Charlotte, and Jamie Lawrence from San Diego State, starting all the way back there in 30th.
Yeah, I think Lawrence likes to make these things hard on himself. We've seen him win quite a few of these races now, and he really seems to enjoy starting from the back and picking his way through the field, maybe letting the leaders get in a couple tangles with themselves up at the start of the race so he can just kind of take it easy and make his way through the pack. But he's going to have a big challenge to do that tonight. Not nearly as available passing zones as there are at Daytona. So we've got Austin Farr taking us towards the pole. Jared Kaler on the top side of that track there, and a couple of guys behind him going to try to make some moves, probably down turn 1 or maybe even turn 3 on the first lap. So Henry Morse and Matthew Nordberg just behind. So that Tennessee machine looking really good. We know Austin Farr is good at restarts. We can be very sure that he's pretty good at starts as well. So Jarrett, as that pace car comes in, why don't you take it away for us?
You see that pace car rolling down pit lane, the 79 machine bringing us to the green flag here at Dover, and it is a great start for Austin Fars. He's going to jump out to a 2, maybe 3 car length gap heading into 1.
That's right. The 79 of the Tennessee did not want any smoke. He said, I'm out of here. The rest of the cars will fall in single file, guys. Smart move. It's going to have to be, but like we said, not like Daytona. There's not a lot of passing area, and it will be on the car on the outside being passed, who will have to help facilitate. He can fight back, but it's going to make it hard on everyone. So here, 2Y, see Peter Stother, Harriet Watt University there on the inside. Power moves around the outside. There, and yeah, everybody getting settled in line, looking like FIU about to pounce now.
Yeah, it looked like Carl Lemko and Peter Stather were going at it there. Carl Lemko able to come out on top for St. Louis University in that battle. Stather taking it easy and trying to keep his car in one piece early in the race. I think that's a good call. Car up there in the wall is able to keep it on track for the time being. Don't want to see too much of that going on. That is going to be, help me out guys, is that Ryan Fenty?
That is right.
That is your 26 machine.
Yeah, so up in the wall, just really easy to make that happen on the exit of these corners. It falls off a lot, 24 degrees in the turns, and then 9 degrees on the straights means that front right tire just really falls off out there. And then the A&M machine, the 112 for Jeremy Rogers going around the outside.
Yeah, he's doing his best right there. You can see A&M up high. Now will come down low. Looks like he'll fall in line behind Gage Anderson in the UT Arlington car. So a little bit of Texas State rivalry taking place here. A little bit of a high line from Mr. Anderson. And guys, I see the drivers falling in. Talked about hitting the wall, and there's a couple things that happen. Other than aerodynamic damage, fender crinkles, those tie rods that are connected from the steering box to the wheel, the front wheels, you're going to bend those just a little bit, and your front tires no longer point the same direction. That means you're scrubbing speed, and that means that it's going to be really hard to turn in the corners. So a good number of reasons that you don't, as we see FIU, just a little kiss there on the wall, a good number of reasons that you don't want to see that.
Yeah, and we got that VCU machine up on top of that battle too, going side by side through turns 2 and 3. That's a VCU machine up in the wall with Grand Canyon just behind, trying to find an opportunity to kind of maybe slide his way in there, and then an alumni car just below there as well. That's going to be, I think, the 198 machine of Craver Silverthorne. That's going to be Colorado School of Mines. So we're on board with VCU right now, going into turns 3 and 4, I want to say, and then just trying to follow that car down. They're not taking too tight of a line. They're trying to maintain some level of tire management throughout this race. We saw Gage Anderson, you mentioned a second ago, kind of taking a higher line even while defending from Rogers back there, and I was wondering if Gage Anderson's just already focusing on that tire management this early. What do you think, Josh?
Well, that is an option. We've heard a number of guys try and say that they were going to try and stay on the low line to save tires and keep their speeds down, but we know that riding a groove up is an option as well. Some of those cars jumping off the wall like that, it is not hard to get up, try and give it a little bit counter steer as the back end steps out. Suddenly you're pointing down the track. John, you also mentioned that heavy banking. That doesn't make it very easy either. So it's pretty easy to be headed down towards that inside wall. Dover, sometimes called the self-cleaning racetrack, just because as you lock up, and if you're not controlling your direction of velocity, will generally gravitate towards the inside.
Yeah, I know we did that whole Bristol dirt track thing at NASCAR not too long ago. I would love to see the same thing here. A couple cars getting out of line. Big fishtail from, man, couldn't get that gathered up at all. I think that's the number 1 machine.
Number 1 of Jaron Valley. Yeah, that's the University of Wisconsin at Oshkosh. Looks like he's able to get it gathered up, and he will reinstall himself coming up in the rear. And, yeah, just tough. Guys, it's the tank slapper, and it's tough to catch that. When you start going back and forth, especially as you're trying to keep it off of other cars. But shout out there as he was able to keep it pointed straight and keep the green flag out, guys.
Yeah, now he's got Maximum Bui just behind him. But yeah, able to save it and keep it out of the wall at least, and keep the track green for the time being. So lucky there, and I'm sure Austin Farr's appreciating that, because he's running a good race. 3/4 of a second clear of Jared Kaler in the UNC Charlotte machine, number 58 just behind. Then Matthew Norberg, 1.8 seconds behind that battle. So going to be a bit of a spread up there. We see Jamie Lawrence getting involved in that 007 machine. Got that James Bond number on that car. Kenny Brown in there too. And that looks like Ted Burns getting in on the action, going low, and able to take that position full way, it seems. So a little bit of body damage on the Wisconsin machine from Ted Burns. Wonder where he picked that up. He's a little bit further down the field than I expect him to see at this point, but I don't think he's got a lot of practice on this track. I think he just bought this track about 30 minutes ago. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge to try to learn this track in that period of time. But if there's anybody that can do it, it's definitely going to be Ted Burns. He's proved his worth in this series many times over. And that's going to be a Jamie Lawrence in the wall and into another car back there. Who was that involved there?
Cool your tires off, get your fans on.
That's
Nathan Cool, guys.
Nathan Cool, the 27 machine. Unfortunate there. Not sure what happened. Did you get a good eye on that, Joel and Josh?
Well, it looked like Jamie Lawrence just got turned around there. He's letting the guys know about it over the communication channel, and you don't love to see it. Yeah, just up trying to give room to guys, and we talked about it. In fact, it looks like right there, some trouble behind, but Jamie Lawrence looks like he'll be all right there, but. Yeah, it's like he just got up, got loose on the wall, and brought it around. And once you get turned around, it's really hard to keep that going straight. So that's why Jaron Valley did such a good job previously.
Yeah, I think that was Pittsburgh State that we saw on the wall just prior to that incident too, and he was able to keep the track from going total course caution. But also, we do have our first course caution about 10 minutes into the race, and about, I'm not sure how many laps we go down, 15 laps down or so. So Austin Farr going to lead the field again around on a procession with Jared Kaler. Not too many positions changing up there at the front. It looks like the top 5 are all in the same. I take that back, actually. So Matthew Norberg was able to get in front of Henry Morse at some point during that. Ryan Fenty up a position. He's now in 5th after starting 6th. Christian Gomez for Florida International is up 1 position as well into 6th after starting 7th. The big mover was from Angelo State, Michael Koholich in the number 4 car, moved up 3 positions, and he's now sitting in 7th after starting in 10th. So Thomas Toomey, we've seen him have some trouble on restarts lately, and not sure what's going on because he used to be quite good at them, but just kind of lost a little bit of his mojo for the time being, and he's running down there in 8th right now after having losing 3 spots after that start.
Yeah, that was pretty difficult. And so these guys, though, will have their decisions to make out 16 laps in, and you have to decide, are you taking tires or not? Do you save those 3 sets for a later date?
Yeah, I bet everybody saves it right now. I don't think it's soon enough in the race to start thinking about a early pit stop strategy, and then you might be kind of off sequence compared to some of the other cars. And so that's Jamie Lawrence, yeah, just getting up there in that wall again, and then unfortunately tagging Nathan Cool in the Bemidji State machine. Unfortunate for Jamie Lawrence, and we'll see him get that car fixed back up, get that fast repair done, and back on track. Probably at the back of the pack, unfortunately, going to be hanging out back there. And guys, I also noticed that Roger Gregory, I think, had some internet connectivity issues. He dropped out of the race, I think 4 or 5 laps in maybe, and was a bit unfortunate in that. And then Nick Beaver in the NDSU State machine also not starting the race despite being on the roster, so not sure there. We know a couple guys were having internet connection issues tonight. Hope that wasn't the case for, unfortunately, either way, Nick Beaver's not in this race really, and that's going to be a blow to the NDSU machine because that was a fast car in last season and definitely fighting for the championship most of the time. But we've got Matthew Norberg sitting up there in 3rd right now, and I'm betting that he's going to be able to make a move here at the start and try to get around Jared Kaler.
Well, he'll certainly look to do so. We can expect Austin Farr, or always usually the leader, to jump out ahead. They will have the advantage, and so it'll be up to Matthew Nordberg if he wants to allow Mr. Kaler on the outside to slide down in front, or if he wants to try and fill that gap, end up P2. But guys, he might enjoy that restarting position that he gets in the inside of the 2nd row. So it'll be up to him if he really wants to fight for 2nd or if he just wants to ride. Still a long way to go in this one.
Yeah, plenty of time left in this race. So I don't want to see too many guys getting too eager to make any moves here and have too many instances like the one that we saw a minute ago. But back there 9th and 10th, we've still got the Inter-Texas battle going on, and that's Jared Kaler trying to jump the pace car, it looks like. Not sure what was going on there. A couple of weird things can happen sometimes with these iRacing pace cars, but generally they're pretty effective. And so yeah, Rogers and Anderson back there in 9th and 10th. I wonder if they're going to be chatting on the radio a little bit together and trying to just work together to move their way up in the pack. We know both those guys have plenty of speed. We've seen Anderson put it to the test last 2 weeks ago, and Jeremy Rogers both on the road and the oval side put it to the test and able to pick up a handful of podiums so far on the road side as well. And I think he actually lost the race last week to Jamie Lawrence after a series of mistakes at Laguna, unfortunately for him. But yeah, on the oval side, let's see if they can't work together, make their way up there. Who else we got in this field right now? We got Peter Stott there. We saw him earlier on in the number 14 machine for Harriet Watt University. He's hanging out back there with number 28 machine of John Tyndall just on his top side. And they've got Esteban Munoz in front of them for FIU, currently sitting in the 13th spot. But guys, I was talking with Jarrett earlier, and looks like Virginia might have as many as 3 cars in there tonight. So they've become the new VCU, as it were. But Jarrett, I think that pace car is down, so take it away as Austin Farr gets a clean jump
Green
off
flag.
the start.
They're firing on off down on that front straightaway. You see a little bit of tire spin from further on back in the field. Farr able to manage that. He's going to pull to a healthy lead through turns 1 and 2. They're side by side. It's Nordberg and Merce working for third.
I'll tell you what, I'd love to be on the inside of that second row, and Henry Morse feels the same way. He's going to try to make the move, nothing doing. They'll head back down into third there, and 65, that's going to be Christian Gomez, FIU, Florida International University, coming off turn 4. Virginia trying to make a move. You see Angelo State trying to get in that corner around Henry Morse. And guys, UC Berkeley has a mirror full of cars right now ready to get by. See a 26 just able to keep the right front off that wall, guys. If you're going to touch the wall, do it with the back of the car, not the front of the car.
Yeah, definitely. You don't really want to touch it with either part, but if you got to pick one, the rear is going to be a better bet, and you're probably going to be able to get off the corner a little bit easier. But Jared, at the start of this race, you were talking about that Angelo State machine, looking for a good race from him, and he's up there in 6th right now, doing a great job for Angelo State in a debut race for him. We'll see if he can't hang on to that. He's got Henry Morse just in front of him, and if there's somebody to be behind, that's not a bad car to be behind. He'll lead you to the front, but we've got a second caution now. It's looking like Esteban Munoz and FIU involved on my monitor. And we'll take a look and see what happened there.
Looks like Esteban coming down, and now we'll see John Tyndall behind. And looks like coming out of 4, just lost it a bit loose, and gets turned around there in the inside. Single car incident. He'll pull away, and might even make use of that fast repair he's got. But yeah, tough break for Florida International. We just spoke about the 65 machine. Gomez having a great race in 3rd right now, scored. And, yeah, seeing if he can pass a little bit of that good fortune onto his teammates.
Yeah, and so when you get that car loose like that, I bet he had a fair amount of steering angle cranked in that car, too, on the exit, trying to keep it up out of the wall. I think he had that car up there as well, or maybe leaving a space for John Tyndall to go up there. But, yeah, a bit different. But that can happen with the bumps that are on this track, especially with the liver axle on these cars. For those suspension geeks out there, you'll know that when the right rear tire hits a bump, the left rear is going to be affected in a pretty bad way as well on these cars. So it's pretty tricky to control one of these things when they're going over bumps like that, and then when you get it crossed up, it's even harder to get it back in a straight line as you're coming off of a 24-degree bank onto a 9-degree bank. There's too many things changing at the same time, but unfortunately not able to keep it out of the wall. And now we've got Matthew Norberg in the box. Matthew, you got a copy for us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, man, tell us about your race so far. How's it going down there?
It's going pretty good. The tire deg's really high around here, so I'm just trying to conserve my tires, but looks like a couple people around me are conserving a bit better, so we'll see how it plays out.
What are you learning about the car? Sounds like tire degradation is the story so far, but what are the cars around you doing? Is everybody playing pretty nice? Do you feel it's a little aggressive?
Yeah, it's pretty nice so far. We'll see what happens as the race goes on, but it's early stages, so a lot can happen.
When you've got guys like Kaler and Gomez in front of you, are you trying to make moves off the start here, or just kind of hang back and sort of wait for the closing stages of the race to really make a move down there?
I'm just working on making sure my tire's in the right position where they need to be towards the pit stops and later in the race. So if they got a bit more pace than me right now, there's still plenty of time to make it up.
Spoken like a true wise man.
Well, Matthew, we'll let you get back to it, and good luck the rest of the way.
All right, thank you.
That was Matthew Nordberg from NC State right there, and started up in 4th and hasn't moved a muscle, really. Still sitting in that 4th spot, guys. And we talked about that patience. Maybe he's just sitting back, kind of seeing what the leaders are doing, not going to fight too hard just yet. And I think that's the move this early in the race.
Yeah, and he looks pretty relaxed behind the wheel right now, and really not breaking a sweat at all. And if there's a way to drive a race, that would be the way to do it. Guys that are really tense tend to make a lot of mistakes. So in a situation like that, I'm looking for Matthew Nordberg to be able to hang on to that calm, cool, collected demeanor and see it to the finish line at the end of the race. But still the pace car lights on, so not quite going to bring it down to pit lane yet. I like the paint job in that NC State machine for number 76 of Nordberg, and he's definitely got some challenging cars around him to get by. And Gomez last week out, I think, had that podium for the students in the Laguna race on the road side. So it'd be great to see a double FIU podium 2 weeks in a row, both on the oval and the road side for the U Sports team that they're growing out there, and a couple other cars back there in the field as well. Got Yuri Ismail for Reading in the UK, doing a good job down there in 10th right now. And who else is on note right now? Andrew McCall sitting there in 11th, start 11th. Yuri Ismail, that we just mentioned, actually moved up 6 positions since the start of the race and is now running in 10th after starting in 16th. So doing very good for the UK University out there.
And John, I'll add to your list John Tyndall from VCU. Started 20th and jumping up. And also Peter Stother started 13th, sits 13th. Talked to him this week. And I said, do you prefer the road or the oval side? He said, man, I really like the oval side. So from Harriet Watt University, one of our late night specialists, about 2:20 or so in the morning, Wednesday morning for Mr. Stother. But no factor. He's on a mission. He's 13th. And guys, he's got a car that's intact. So he's ahead of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're about to get that green flag restart. Pace car lights were out when I last looked, and they're going to be going through turns 3 and 4 right now. So we're going to watch Austin Farr try to lead this pack away. We've seen him do excellent job on the restarts before, and he's probably got a good dozen of them under his belt so far in this series. He's been up front every single race so far, and he's probably led every single field away. And he goes again, gets a good jump on Jared Kaler. Kaler going to take that high line away from him. Austin Farr, now slight defend, just kind of break the toe as they head down into turn 1. FIU on the inside of UNC Charlotte trying to make a move happen early, kind of forcing UNC Charlotte up to the high line. He's going to take that position away from the Jared Kaler machine, the number 58 car. So FIU up in second with UNC Charlotte behind.
Well, we talked about playing nice. So Kaler, I think, decided it was to his advantage. He figured that Gomez there in 65 might press the issue, so no factor. Now he gets to start on the inside should a yellow come out, and we still have a ways to go. So a little bit of gamesmanship there, but yeah, guys, too early in the race to be running side by side, trying to heavily battle, for that position. So we'll see the cars coming up off the corner and then jumping just a half width off the wall as we had that shot there. That's how tough it is to keep it up on that wall, and then how easy it is to fall down the track a little bit as you conserve those rear tires. Haven't had a big round of pit stops yet, so guys, we're looking at 30 laps on these tires.
Yeah, I was about to check pace on some of the leaders. So looking at Austin Farr's pace right now, his fastest lap was a 21.9 on lap 19. And is not yet to cross the line again on a flying lap, so we'll check it again. But it looked like he had a 21.9 again on lap 31, so whatever he's doing up at the front, he's able to keep some pace in those tires and keep turning out some pretty quick laps out there. But he's already got a nearly full second advantage over Kaler, but Kaler still with Gomez was that Gomez that's behind Kaler again? So Kaler got back around the FIU machine at some point, so Gomez back down there in 3rd, Nordberg still in 4th, Henry Morse in 5th, so your top 5 kind of all switching position around there. And I think we're looking at Ryan Fenty there, so this is going to be the pass for the second place position again by Kaler, able to slot it up on the exit of the corner and get up before the next entrance and put the FIU machine behind him and try to get to work on hunting down Austin Farr, but I'm sure he's looking at his mirrors and really appreciating those battles that are going on back there.
Yeah, I think some of the best thing those two can do, Kaler and Gomez up front, would be work together for a bit. Here you see Jaron Valley and Lemcool there running together. This is Jared Kaler now on board, and actually has put a little bit of a gap between himself and Gomez. You do wonder if he's saved his tires up to this point and has decided to tap into some of their potential. Great shot looking back. You see the gap there has opened up about a little under a second back to the Florida International University machine.
Yeah, and Austin's Farr, I was actually mistaken earlier. I was looking at the practice times, not the race time. So Austin's Farr's fast 22.0 on lap 2, and now he's sitting up there in the 23s, 23.1s or so. So comparing that to Christian Gomez in the 23.3s, 23.2s, and then looking at Kaler sandwiched in between that battle in the 23.1s. So it looks like Austin Farr and Kaler have a slight tire advantage at this point over Gomez. So Gomez falling back a little bit from the second place car and trying to hold on to what's left of his tires right now. Probably just waiting for that next pit stop, I would bet. Next caution to make his first pit stop and come down pit lane and pick up some fresh tires and some fuel on that car. And see a couple cars going at it right now. It's going to be the number 17 machine, Yuri Ismail, up in 10th right now after starting in 16th position, so doing well for the University of Reading. couple battles going on. Grand Canyon University on Gage Anderson for UTA. Going to shove the 91 car up towards the wall. John Tyndall's going to make his way through for VCU as well. That looks like 2 cars past the UTA machine in one corner. I don't know what's going on with them, guys. What do you think?
Well, with Ryan Fente, he's moving up a little bit. Oh, looks like Tyndall down on the apron, as you said. Not quite sure. Maybe got out of line, and that was his way of saving it. You see Alex Jensen there, Embry-Riddle University, and back on board with UT Arlington and Gage Anderson.
Yeah, Gage Anderson. We've seen him do well so far in the other races, but he started 9th down there in 15th right now. Looking at his lap times, he's not been doing so hot recently in the high 24. Last lap by was a 25.3. Can't have too many of those if you really want to stay engaged in this action and take home a good haul of points at the end of the night. But now he's got Alex Jensen in front of him. Jensen, not the first race he's done, but still pretty new to the series. Started 26th up to 14th right now. That might be our hard charger of the night as it stands, because that's a full 12 position improvement so far in the night. So what's this battle going on here? We've got Jeremy Rogers down there in the 112 machine. Thomas Toomey up tied. Looks like Toomey was just letting the 112 machine kind of slot on by him there. And I wonder if Toomey recognizes that that was not exactly a pass for position, seeing that he had an alumni car right behind him. But I can't imagine these guys are going to be checking for a red or green windshield banner too often. But it looks like Toomey's slipping back in the field a little bit more than I expect to see at this stage. What do you think, Jarrett?
Yeah, and I think he might be playing the long game here, guys. We're seeing that the tires are starting to wear down a little bit. You're watching Ryan Fenty, actually, and he's climbed his way. He started this restart further on back in the field. We saw him 15th or 16th taking the green flag. He's all the way up to 6th. Ryan Fenty with those fresh Goodyear Eagles making him work for the 26 car here.
Yeah, Ryan Fenty from St. Joseph's College out there, and yeah, doing a great job. And fresh Goodyear tires. And, you know, I wonder if the Angelo State machine that's new to this race, so that's going to be Michael Colich. I wonder if he visited that Goodyear test track that's out there in San Angelo and got some practice on some Goodyear tires for this event. I doubt it, but who knows? There's been stranger things that have happened before, and but yeah, he's doing a great job up there right now, and we'll see if Toomey can't make his way back up the field a little bit after he's slipping down. So Peter Stott there running in 9th right now, so a good top 10 for him. It's about 7.4 seconds off the race lead as it stands. The big gap right now is from Jared Kaler back to Christian Gomez, and I've got another caution popping up my screen. Not quite sure who it is. It looks like Max Bui might be involved in that. Let's take a look.
Yeah, looking as well. I see Max Bui slow on track, getting back up to speed. Saw a couple notes right there. We saw Thomas Toomey from Virginia sliding back, and yeah, it looks like maybe
that was Ted Burns.
Yep, Ted Burns in the wall, and had to check up. Looks like big trouble. Scott Ratliff going for a ride in the 747, and yeah, it looks like Austin Farr just making it through there, but really tough break for a couple guys. But yeah, started when that red 81 machine for Wisconsin got up in the wall. Everybody has to check up. Yeah, Max Bui not quite holding it down there, so that's going to make it really hard. You're coming up at such a fast rate of closing and having to guess where you need to go.
Yeah, he's got 747 on the side of that machine, but despite that being one of the most popular planes made by Boeing, I don't think he wanted that car to take to flight so easily in that instance. So Maximilian Bui trying to get his first pit stop done here, going to take a opportunity to get some fresh tires and a fast repair on that car. Austin Farr also in the pit lane. It looks like Ryan Fenty has stayed out. Who also stayed out? Also, Ted Burns is staying out so far right now. It doesn't look like anybody else. So take that back. Andrew McCall has also stayed out with Ryan Fenty. So Ryan Fenty and Andrew McCall being an alumni. So a little bit of a different strategy there for those two guys. So we'll see if Austin Farr can't get off pit lane as quickly as he entered it and maintain his tire advantage probably over those cars. I wouldn't want to be Fenty and McCall. I bet the right call is probably come down the pit lane and take tires, especially if Austin Farr's doing it. You can probably bet on that being a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, I wonder if Fenty is thinking that he's going to need a couple fresh sets of tires for his late race activities. We saw that even after 5 to 10 laps, makes sense to put some fresh tires on those machines. So we'll see what the winning strategy is in a bit. We see, you'll see on your screen, the 081 of Wisconsin, and lap cars will pit after the lead lap cars here. You see Virginia following in as well. So we will get these cars scored up as your lead lap cars. Now, we'll follow on, obviously, Austin Farr there will be the first one off pit road. And get ready to go green again. These guys will be sizing each other up and looking for where they can make their move. And what they learn, guys, we are approaching the halfway point. So starting to see some data take form.
Yeah, this race is going by a lot faster than I thought it would at this point. John Tyndall rejoining the track out there and trying to work his way off the apron and slot in there behind Austin Farr. Not sure if that's where he needs to be or not, but these NC State machine back there as well, trying to get up into the right position for this restart behind the 65 machine for Christian Gomez. And so we've got Nathan Kuhl, Andrew McCall, and Ryan Fenty at the front of this field at the restart. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ryan Fenty handles this restart. Can't see his car right now because it's actually inside the pace car. You're able to clip through that one, and it doesn't give you any advantage. Just kind of playing some mind games maybe for the cars behind Ryan Fenty, the leading student car. Andrew McCool and Nathan Kuhl. McCall, and Nathan Kuhl both are alumni. So really the only car Ryan Fenty needs to worry about on this restart is Austin Farr, who is the second place student even after that pit stop sequence. So a couple other guys mixed in there. So Jamie Lawrence is mixed in there somewhere, and a couple other cars I'm seeing out there as well. But did I see the pace car lights out, I think, last time by? So we'll see if he doesn't come back down the pit lane this lap, and we'll get that green flag restart.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to see how Mr. Fenty handles that green flag situation, the restart, and what he does to try and get the jump. We've seen the 79 machine have great jumps all night so far. The difference will be he will have some pretty worn tires. Everybody behind him, even if he slips or has a good restart, everybody behind him will be ready to go. And in a couple laps, I would expect those guys with fresh tires. Only 2 cars in their way, guys. I would expect them to be right there. So it's gonna be a little bit different for Fenty and the 3 cars that are up here.
Yeah, and Jared, as we get going through turn 3 right here, pace car is going to come down. Why don't you take it away for this green flag restart for us?
And keep in mind that 018 car, Andrew McCall, with that red windshield banner, the alumni, had not come down pit lane yet today. So he's on the tires he started the race with. So pay attention to how these front 2 drivers fend off this very, very quick field right behind him, as you see Nathan Kuhl all the way to the rear bumper. And there goes Fenty. Great jump by him. He's got 2, 3, 4 car lengths. Looks like trouble back behind. And it looks like they're going to sort it on out here as they head down into 1 and 2.
Yeah, that looked like Andrew McCall getting a little bit loose in that nice John Player special livery car, but we'll take a look and see again here on the restart. So Ryan Fenty had a great restart. It looked like getting a great jump off the line, and then looks like Austin Farr is right up behind. I wonder if that was a slight touch from Austin Farr getting wedged into that safer barrier down there on the inside wall.
I was going to say a bit of a hard lick there, but up at the front, we said the 79's there, guys. I don't think there will be much of a fight. Looking to the inside, Tennessee trying to get under St. Joseph's University. He'll give way, but not before the 4th caution of the night. Kenny Brown around in turns 1 and 2, guys, for the University of Virginia, as the pace car comes around to pick him up. And looked like he was going in. Maybe a bit of help from San Angelo State into John Tyndall as well. And Harriet Watt gets collected. And Wisconsin is around. A bigger one than we initially thought, guys. But, yeah, a little bit of help there from Michael Kolick of San Angelo State.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate one there was going to be Peter Stother watching on board. Just had nowhere to go. Already went down the apron trying to get to the safe spot on the track, but just couldn't quite make it there in time to avoid that spinning machine of Kenny Brown. So Virginia cars not having a great night tonight. Couple troubles for Thomas Toomey dropping back right now, and that trouble right there for Kenny Brown for the University of Virginia, trying to see if they can't reclaim some of those lost positions in this battle, and unfortunately ending up in an instant right there. So Austin Farr, we saw him right on the tail of Ryan Fenty at that restart. Ryan Fenty did manage that restart quite well, but Austin Farr is not a guy that I'm gonna want to have behind me trying to battle down into turn 1. What do you think, Jared? How would you defend from Austin Farr if you're Ryan Fenty up there?
I mean, it's going to be pretty tough, and we saw him take tires a little bit earlier. This might be that kind of alternate strategy. Maybe he figures take the tires a little early since you have those 3 additional sets, and you don't have one at the end of the race just kind of sitting there unused. We'll see if Fenty maybe tries to encourage the rest of the leaders onto pit lane or not. So joining us up here in the booth during this caution is going to be Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia. Thomas, you got a copy?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you loud and clear up here. So it's been a wild one these past couple laps. Talk us through what it's looking like from your end.
It's looking pretty crazy. It's looking like a mix of people on old tires and people on new tires. So it's going to be quite interesting here at the end in terms of figuring out when to save versus when to attack and positioning with cautions.
So I see you're using a VR headset out there. Do you prefer it for oval racing since you kind of get that 360 perspective of seeing the cars that are up high and down low on you as they're coming in the corner?
Absolutely. It's a very, very good too because it provides a really good depth perception as well. It kind of allows you to feel the speed more than you would on just a screen, in my opinion. The resolution isn't quite there, I would say, but it's definitely nice feeling like you're in the car.
So as this race continues on, how do you manage your tire sets remaining, and how do you manage the traffic around you? Look like one instance going into 3. Don't know if you had help, but it did look like you kind of bailed on a 4-car pack. Giron Valley was around, and how do you conserve your equipment to get to the end?
I think it's going to be really about really lifting on entry and not over attacking the corner, and then also being patient on the gas on exit and just managing that and trying to push enough where there's going to be enough tire at the end of the race. I suspect we're going to go green for a while here if there's no cautions in the next couple of laps.
Definitely. Well, we're looking forward to that run, and we're looking forward to seeing what the 66 has in store for everyone. So good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, guys.
That was Thomas Toomey, one of our other onboard drivers here tonight. As you can see inside the cockpit, John mentioned the VR headset. So he's able to turn his head and see all the different happenings around him. And there have been a couple as of recently.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of guys running a bunch of different styles of setups. A couple guys running triple screens out there. A bunch of guys running VR headsets. I know Peter Stother is also a fan of the VR setup. And a couple of guys just on computer screens or larger TVs set up in the room. But we've got the pace car lights out. We're going through turn 1 right now. So we got about 30 or 40% of a lap complete before we get green going again. So Ryan Fenty had a pretty decent restart last time, I would say, but now with Austin Farr right up next to him, I don't think his chances are going to fare so well this time by. So we'll see if he can't manage to hold off that Tennessee machine from going around him, but I think that's going to be a pretty tough call.
He's going to have to make that St. Joseph's car pretty wide if he's going to hold on to that lead for some amount of time. But yeah, I don't know what his incentive would be. We're not close to the end, and no reason to go through and use up the tires he's got on his car with so much fresh rubber behind him and to his outside. Guys, if there was ever a time we'd see P2 have an advantage on a restart, it would be now. We'll see what happens. You see Fenty backing up the pack as much as he can. 79 out in front. He's going to try to get an advantage. He's going to try to see right when that 26 machine goes. It's right now. The 26 is off. And you can see FIU not quite up to the 79. 79 will have his own line, but Jared Caleb will have to wait to fall in line behind him. And there's your first 4 going along now. Everybody else going to kind of get single file, double file, and figure out how they can fit in too early to battle too hard.
Yeah, I think Thomas Toomey kind of lost some positions off the start, and he's losing another one right now to Gage Anderson going underneath through the turn for Thomas Toomey. Toomey just didn't look like he was getting to get the car to turn there, and just kind of had to back out of the throttle. So Gage Anderson moving up a position and is now, I think, in 9th on my screen. So Derek Jennings in front of him as well. And then that's the 65 machine we were just looking at there for FIU. So the 26 of Ryan Fenty going up high. And unfortunately, I think Matthew Norberg's the one that's going to be able to get around him there. And a couple cars popping out of line there. The 17 for Yuri Ismail, the Reading University machine, going, though, again, all the spots being lost by Fenty, so I don't think Fenty's had that pit stop yet. So correct me if I'm wrong on that, Jarrett, but those old tires are really showing.
Yeah, Fenty only on that pit stop on lap 22, so everyone else on 20 lap fresher tires than Fenty is right now.
Yeah, so that tire differential really showing what it's worth right now. So I think Ryan Fenty's maybe slightly regretting that decision for going that out of sequence pit stop. And track temp still hovering around that 110, 113 degree range in Fahrenheit. So still a pretty toasty track. So those tires are just going to continue to wear all night long, but we're not even quite at halfway yet, and there's still quite a bit of tire wear going on out there. So, Josh, what do you think? Can any of these guys going to be able to hang on to those tires for a little bit longer than we saw in these opening stints?
Well, I think they will. They certainly don't have a choice if they want to get to the end. But yeah, I think we're going to see the guys who are smooth sailing up front. They're going to have the ability to save their tires. We've seen it on the roadside as well. Even back in the pack, we'll see things settle down, and that's where guys are going to be trying to conserve the tires. There, we're not seeing settled down. Peter Stother working the inside of Esteban Munoz. First time calling his name tonight in that 9 machine for FIU. Really working a lot of defense from Munoz down there. Maybe taking some notes from the roadside, bringing them over. Going to try to go 3 wide, but we'll think better this time as we exit turn 4.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple cars going side by side just in front of them there. That's going to be St. Louis versus Carl Lemkuhl, and that's a big tire smoke moment. I think we were able to make it out okay. That's Esteban Munoz and a number 198 car, I think, down into Esteban Munoz. Big accident back there.
That was Prather Silverthorne from the Colorado School of Mines. Almost saw him blink out, come back in. And I don't think that Max Bowie from USC, don't think his spotter gave him that call as the pace car jumps onto the track now. But yeah, following this one from the start, there might have been a little bit of help there, for Mr. Munoz. And then, yeah, Prather Silverthorne down, and then it all starts from there. But really, really tough to get through that, especially with the new smoke. And, guys, what goes up must come down. So you really, great shot here. Looks like Prather, yeah.
Yeah, so I was watching that one on my own screen. It looked like Esteban actually just got into the corner a little bit hot and kind of chucked it down in there and got that left front onto the apron even, but he had the car pretty well rotated before that. So that's actually on Munoz for that one. And I think Prather Silverthorne, let's see, so he was diving down low and then ended up going high to avoid the spinning FIU machine, got up into the wall, and then came back down and contacted the FIU machine. So really strange one there. Quite a few cars involved. Jamie Lawrence able to spin his car and not collect anybody else, luckily, and able to keep his car intact, just put a little bit of extra wear on the tires. So unfortunately, that one's going to be on Munoz, just getting a little bit too loose on corner entry there and having some other guys check up and just cause a cascading effect behind him. But Munoz going to come down pit lane and get a new set of tires and probably take as a fast repair, I would bet. But I don't think he's actually got a fast repair left because he's still in that pit box after having come down there a little while earlier. So unfortunate for the FIU team.
Yeah, guys, and I just looked at Ryan Fenty moving down our scoring tower. I think if I'm him, I don't know how many tire sets he's got left, but now that he's made his bet, I think his best play is to come down, take tires. He'll have an advantage on all the cars that are here once we go green, and then he'll have to take another pit stop if he can when there is another opportunity when the rest of these guys come down. I think that's going to be his play. The only other great thing that could happen would be hanging out until maybe 30 to go, and if he thinks there's going to be 20 or 30 green laps at the end, save a tire set for then when everyone else has used theirs or doesn't come down. Simply guessing when that final caution is going to be and try to have an extended time on those new tires. You see your pit timings and lap scheduling on your screen there.
Yeah, so everybody up there in the top 8 on the exact same strategy went that 42 laps on that initial stint and on 18 lap old tires at this point in time. Gage Anderson, the final car in that group for UTA, with Thomas Toomey just behind in 6th spot. So Anderson kind of moving around those back end of the top 10 positions right now. He was down there in 10th. I think he was in 11th for even a little bit. Now back up there to 8th, and he's got Derek Jennings in front of him to contend with. But the first alumni in the field is going to be Jeremy Rogers, sitting in 10th right now for A&M. He's the leading alumni, followed by Scott Ratcliffe, and he is 13th on the track. Carl Lemkuhl is 14th on the track. So we do have a fairly close alumni battle right now, 10th, 13th, and 14th as they run. A couple other cars splattered on back the field as well. A couple cars at least a lap down. So Maximilian Bowie for USC is down a lap right now, running in 23rd. Ted Burns also not having a great night for Ted Burns. It happens every once in a while. You might see something like this, but not too often for a guy like Ted Burns to have a sub top 20 finish, I would say, in a race like this. And then Prather Silverthorne just behind him, also a lap down. But yeah, so interesting race so far. On our 5th caution of the night, already past halfway, and I think those pace car lights are out, so we'll see what will happen between now and either the checkered flag or an inevitable maybe 6th caution. We'll see.
Yeah, these guys are thinking about their strategy, what they want to do. We'll see Austin Farr. I imagine Austin Farr would have a pretty good jump here, and we'll see if he can make progress towards that checkered flag. A lot of guys, though, in that 6th place on back are going to have to figure out where they want to fall in line and just how much they want to battle and how much time they have left to do that.
Yeah, so I think that pace car is going to come down pit road here this next time by. And so, Jarrett, why don't you take it away? I'm sure Austin Farr is going to get that early restart for us.
Yeah, we've seen the FIU car of Christian Gomez right behind him have some pretty good restarts, starting behind the leader. And this one goes to Farr again. Jared Kaler trying to stick right in line. He'll go single file right behind him. You see Gomez almost able to sneak that front bumper in there as they continue down turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, the UTA machine and Thomas Toomey are going side by side right now. Gage Anderson just kind of clipped the wall, going to get away with it for the time being. The number 4 machine for Micah Kolich for the ASU team. Going to slot in there, making it 3 wide. Turns Thomas Toomey a little bit. Toomey able to hang on to it. That's going to give Gage Anderson an opportunity to kind of run away from these guys. And going to give, I think that's Alex Jensen back there in the number 44 machine, an opportunity to get in on that battle. Little bit of damage from that contact on the rear of the 66 Virginia machine. Then it's going to be, I think Derek Jennings is back there as well, and for the GCU car as well.
Correct, Amundo. Yeah, you see Scott Ratliff there in the 747 trying to work on that Embry-Riddle machine as Embry-Riddle and Alex Jensen goes to work on the Virginia machine there. Yeah, pretty tough move. Did get turned there, but yeah, it's so tough, guys, when you're there and there's so much opportunity just a couple feet out the windshield. Very easy to miss a braking point. Get in a little bit deeper. We saw Esteban Munoz do it. Ryan Fenty now looking to make a move on Texas A&M and Jeremy Rogers. He'll look low. He'll get a spot. Looks like Jeremy Rogers will play nicely. And with the bottom groove, St. Joseph's College will claim that position pretty calmly.
Yeah, we saw in the back of the shot there, Jamie Lawrence getting a little bit loose off the corner as he was trying to go down low on the 14 machine. That's going to be Harriet Watt University, driven by Peter Stother. I think he was able to get that move done, or was he? No, he's still behind the 14 machine, it looks like. And 14 was losing a position to Ryan Fenty just a lap ago, so St. Joseph's College making up a position off of that restart. And he's challenging the 45 car of Alex Jensen in front right now, going to go low going into the turn, and 45 machine way too high to be able to defend that position. He's going to try to slot back down in front of the 112th car. That's not 112 cars, that's the 12th man car from A&M University, driven by Jeremy Rogers. And Scott Ratliff getting involved there too, the 747 machine giving the spot up to the 45 car.
Yeah, everybody playing well. Staying off the wall, that's key. I did see Peter Stother in that 14 machine, taking the alternative tire-saving strategy there. He's back down on the bottom, running the bottom now, but he was entering a little bit higher and able to let that car fall down the banking. In the road, we would call that more of a late apex, but fall down the banking, a lower exit out of those turns there, and that's going to save those tires a little bit, probably paired with an early lift into the corner. You see Ryan Fenty continuing his march forward.
Yeah, he's going to go down low on the 91 machine. UTA losing a position there to Ryan Fenty. The 17 machine, I think, kind of holding up Gage Anderson right there. Gage trying to slot down low and get the exit off the corner and try to get the advantage. 17 a little bit loose. Thomas Toomey going to slot down there again and try to make the same move happen. Gage Anderson able to slot in front in that battle. Kind of checked up in that corner, getting really close. A little bit of netcode contact, maybe between the 66 and the 17 there, but everybody gets away cleanly. Don't want to see too much more of that. Thomas Toomey trying to go down low again on the same move. He's got to make this move happen pretty fast here because he's working his tires hard to make this happen.
That's correct. He is taking a lot of life out of those tires. He tries to run these alternate lines, get around. He'll look low this time. Second time he's tried to make it work off turn 4. He'll leave a lot of space. Will he have enough momentum side by side down into turn 1? Looks like he'll have an advantage, but Yuri Ismail gonna fight back on the high side. Not enough. And actually looks like Scott Ratliff and Alex Jensen from Embry-Riddle trying to make a move. Guys, 17 in a little bit of trouble here. Jamie Lawrence looking low. Peter Stouther trying to join the party. And we talked about he was up high. Now he'll come low and have a little bit of a run off the corner. Looks like University of Reading. Guys, both the 17 and the 14 in the same time zone. About almost 3 o'clock for those guys. Working late at night.
Yeah, so if they've got any excuse for kind of performing in some races, that would be it. But even despite that, I think Stouther came away with a podium last season, so it doesn't seem to affect those guys too bad. They're used to it at this point. So we've got a Grand Canyon University and Angelo State University battle going on up there. Let's see what comes out there. And actually, as we say that, I'm looking at Thomas Toomey put a move on Gage Anderson right now. He just took that position away from him. So that's going to be Thomas Toomey up to 9th and Gage Anderson down to 10th. So it looks like Gage running that high line. Doesn't seem to be a lot of grip up there at the moment. I don't know what game he's trying to play. Maybe he knows something that other people don't. And let's see if he can't make his way back up there later in the race. But now he's under fire from Scott Ratliff in the 747 Pit State machine. Gage Anderson really likes that high line. What do you think, Jared? Is that high line going to do any favors to anybody?
I tell you what, maybe they're trying to save those tires. We do know iRacing's updated the wall physics. We haven't seen anyone riding the rim along the top of the track up right against the wall, that Kyle Larson line that you might hear it affectionately referred to as, but maybe just trying to save tires, let the guys go on by. And you see the 91 actually, as soon as we say that, go all the way up to the wall, gets out of the way and almost tapping that off of turn 2.
Yeah, getting up pretty high on the wall there, so maybe a little bit of a pocket of air there keeping him off of it, but he's going to let quite a few cars go by here as they're coming in the low. That's going to be Harriet-Watt University, Peter Stouther. A&M is in there too. Can't quite make out what that other car is for the time being, and then we've got Andrew McCall in the 018 car as well slotting in there, so losing a whole handful of positions to a number of cars on that lap. So not the greatest plan it looks like, is taking the high line right now if you want to maintain track position, but again, we'll see, like you said, if that's going to help with tire wear a little bit later in the race. So a little bit further up the field, Matthew Norberg still sitting half a second off the bumper of Christian Gomez the last time by. Christian Gomez still running in 3rd place up there. But then a little bit further up the field, about 2 seconds up the track, is Jared Kaler sitting there in 3rd. He's a full 1.5 seconds behind Austin Farr at this stage. So Farr, we've seen him command these wins before, command these victories, and he's doing it again tonight. We're well past halfway, almost on the 80th lap so far, so just a handful of laps to go. And, well, maybe a little bit more than a handful, so we'll see if we don't get another car coming down pit lane. And I'm sure they're probably okay on fuel, but definitely not on tires at this stage.
Yeah, you have to balance out, see how much those lap times are falling off. And, guys, we know it's multiple seconds. Once those tires really start to go, you have to get out of the gas so early. And almost can't get back to the gas till the end of the run or end of the corner. So we'll see if somebody finds it worth their time to come down pit road, but you would want to do it now so that you have ample time to make that back. If we don't see anybody come down in maybe 10 laps or so, I'd say that everybody's made their bed to the end, lest we see the yellow flag. So looking back, you're looking at Ryan Fente riding on board with Mr. Nordberg from NC State. So these guys trying to ride and maybe get a little bit further to understand what they think they need to do. A little bit of a wiggle, actually, from St. Joseph's machine behind back there. Great shot as we follow this battle on board. Guys trying to work together, trying to get to the end. Maybe even thinking about reeling in that 58 or that 79 machine.
Yeah, not too far behind those guys is also Henry Morris. Love this sort of drone camera footage there, just kind of seeing how these cars really tuck into that corner and get down there on top of the line and try to just keep one tire just barely off the apron. That's going to be the shortest distance around this track, and it seems to be working pretty well right now. So Henry Morris sitting back there in 6th right now, but then 4 seconds behind him is Angelo State University, the number 4 machine. And I don't know if that gap's going to be able to close at all. You tend to need some help from some other cars, but it's just the number 4 and the number 6 back there, really. There's another gap behind the number 66 car for Toomey. Back to Derek Jennings, and then a good little pack back there from, looks like about 9th down to 13th from Jennings, Lawrence, Scott Ratliff, Jeremy Rogers, and Peter Stouther. So a nice little battle. Grand Canyon University down on the low side. Jeremy Lawrence trying to hang it around the top side and trying to see if he can't make that work. Looks like he's able to find a little bit of grip up there and get pretty well off that corner. A&M trying to get on the action now with Grand Canyon.
Yeah, as I say, Grand Canyon University, Derek Jennings, Cooper Glick, been talking about him a lot this season on the road and Ovalside. A little bit of the touch of the wall. Looks like Jeremy Rogers going to try to make the most of it, but has to keep it pointed straight. Looks like he will as they get into turn one. And up next, I'm looking is one more car going to try and get behind.
Yeah, everybody's trying to get the high ground on the other car going in some of these corners. And Jamie Lawrence and Jeremy Rogers both in the same category, of course, both alumni. And it was Jamie that beat Jeremy to the checkered flag last week at Laguna Seca. I'm sure Jeremy doesn't want a repeat of that finishing order. He's going to try to make his way up there in front of Jamie Lawrence if he can. And we'd all like to see a nice little battle in that alumni pack for sure. But then they've got Grand Canyon University mixed up in there too, so that's going to make things a little bit complicated when you've got a multi-class battle in the same kind of car. It's not always the easiest of situations to deal with, and we'll see if these guys are able to navigate that situation effectively. That gap at the front still opening up. Jared Kaler still trailing maybe a half a tenth off every lap by from Austin Farr in terms of lap time, so that gap's slightly opening up right now, and it's back to about 2.5 seconds at this stage. And Matthew Norberg also losing time on Jared Kaler. So as these tires wear, these guys are really demonstrating who's able to keep these tires alive and find whatever grip is remaining in them and who is not. So that's going to be the Tennessee machine leading the field, and then Jared Kaler, the UNC machine, also able to hang on those tires pretty well.
Guys, I'm going to jump in here. You might have noticed Christian Gomez dropping out of that top 5. He actually came down to pit lane for tires under this green flag run. So keep that in mind as we see Gomez try to climb his way back through the field, maybe taking tires. Maybe he'll stay out under the next yellow flag if we get it. Here comes Austin Farr now.
All right, so we're going to have a little bit of green flag stops. Talked about the time running out. Looks like 90 laps was a magic number. A couple of guys taking a gamble. So Jared Kaler going to stay out there. Maybe Austin Farr didn't feel that he could get those tires to the end. These guys also know, and this is one of the few tracks that we run into this, that those tires can't fall all the way off. They start to degrade, they start to grain, then they blow. If there's no air in the tire, it's going to be an issue for performance. So those guys, might not feel like they have a choice. You're out of fuel. Congrats. Now you're out of tires.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of guys just making the decision to come down pit lane and get that tire set with 25 laps to go left. I've been watching Christian Gomez make his way through the field. He's passing cars like they are standing still right now. Such is the differential in tire performance, I'm going to guess. And actually, yeah, Christian Gomez set his fastest lap of the race so far with a 22.3. Compare that to the 24s he was running before. A 24.3 was a fairly typical lap time just a few laps ago when he was on older tires. So, and it only cost him about, so let's see, I'm too lazy to do the math, but it cost him about 2 laps, I think, in terms of lap time. We'll see if he can't make his way back up there, because he was definitely running up there in those podium positions, wasn't he? He's making his way around Maximilian Bowie right now like he is standing still. So it looks like fresh tires are the way to go at this stage in the race. And if he was the first one to do it, Austin Farr we see coming down the pit lane right now. We'll see if he's able to kind of hop forward and take the undercut away. But I don't know, man. I think the undercut might be the job here. I've got a Grand Canyon University into the wall, though, right?
Well, that is complications, and Austin Farr is on his second trip down pit road, so I don't know if he's
Black flag, guys. Speeding on pit road.
Yeah, speeding in pit road is confirmed from race control, and that is not how you get it done here at the end of this Dover race. So right now it's Jared Kaler, and a caution. Jared Kaler just missing. Big problems there. It looks like we saw the 15 getting off the corner. Back with Max Bowie. Looks like a bit of netcode. Max Bowie actually held it. Just netcode was not the favor there. And the 15 machine, tough break there. I believe that's Derek Jennings. And our leader, the 58, just makes it through. So I tell you what, the winner there is Mr. Farr for the University of Tennessee. But guys, suddenly we got a little bit of shakeup going on.
Yeah, big shakeup in the order. So we'll see what happens after all this sort of pit stops kind of flesh out, as people are going to come down and probably take tires on this caution, I would bet. Looks like a lot of damage on that number 15 Grand Canyon University machine. Looks like he's got a little bit of engine damage, some smoke coming out of the back of that car, and a fair amount of suspension damage as well. So he's going to be down on power. He's coming down on the apron. He's going to take the pit lane right now. I bet he's probably already used that fast repair, as we know a lot of guys have so far, so he may be in the pits for a while with that. And he was running pretty well up to that point, so that's an unfortunate timing for the Grand Canyon car.
Yeah, and looking here, looks like those guys that did not come down are now on their way to pit road, going to get some service. However, they will be behind the guys that have all just taken tires. So it'll be, cars with 5 to 10 laps on their tires, and then these cars. And we'll see, guys. We know that for that 5 to 10 laps is significant for these tires here at Dover. Probably one of the hardest tracks on our tire wear overall. So taking 4 fresh ones. We'll get them racked and stacked and see who can manage their stuff best to the end. 20 to go right now. We'll probably restart with 18 or 17 to go.
Yeah, I would bet so. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with guys like Christian Gomez, who took those tires early. If at the end of these these next 20 laps, with maybe about 5 laps to go, if his tires start to fall off a little bit before some of the other guys that he's going to be racing around, and then he'll start to struggle a bit compared to those guys. But looks like Jared Kaler, we've seen him up front. It's been a while since he's won a race. We haven't talked to him in some time. He's been kind of lagging at the back of the GT3 field in some of the Road Series stuff, and I know he'd like to get another win under his belt and try to reclaim some ground in this championship battle. Ryan Fenty up there in second. I think that would be his first podium if he was able to hang on to that one, but I think that's a pretty tall order as it stands. And a couple other cars mixed in there, but yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens on this green flag restart.
Yeah, I am too. I was really curious to see what was going to happen. If we had stayed green, I know that we saw one car come down pit road, and then a few more felt obliged to come down and get service. So be interesting to see how that pans out now with this caution. And these laps are going to be pretty easy on the tires, so that'll factor in as well. And I would say, guys, we're at the point of the race where we're going to have very little tire savings, and we're going to use these things up.
Yeah, I think you're right. So just to highlight somebody, Jamie Lawrence started 30th, didn't even set a qualifying time, currently running in 7th. And I think he's been on a little bit of an alternate strategy at some points in the night and was able to kind of make the luck work and combine it with a little bit of skill to work his way up to a top 10 finish right now. So that'd be a great run from him. Jeremy Rogers, though, is sitting in front in that alumni battle, so the 112 machine in front of the 007, but they are right nose to tail on track. So that's going to be a pretty fierce battle to keep our eye on as we head into the closing stages here. And Jeremy Rogers definitely going to want to try to maintain that advantage that he's got on Jamie Lawrence, I'm sure. Carl Emkel not too far behind as well for the alumni. He's back there in 9th, so only one car separating him. That's going to be Avery Walker separating that battle. And then Christian Gomez currently sitting in 11th on the merit alone. And as iRacing updates as they come back by, it looks like he's going to have to overtake the pace car and get that lap back that he had lost. So, yeah, bit interesting moves going on here, and guys are going to get ready and geared up for this restart.
Yeah, so your control car this time around will be the UNC Charlotte car as they come off turn 2. On the outside, it'll be Ryan Fenty, St. Joseph's University. And guys, Matthew Nordberg been hanging out there all night in that NC State Chevrolet. Really solid performance. We talked to him earlier in the night, and he's ready to put this thing in victory lane. So, and we see the 66 machine up there. A little bit of a tough night for Thomas Toomey in the 66, but Toomey, Kolick, Rogers, Lawrence, we talked about those names, guys. Going to have 18 to go when we come to the line, and the University of North Carolina at Charlotte will start us off.
Yeah, and he's going to get an early jump there. Ryan Fenty can't quite guess when he's going to get in that throttle. Doesn't want to jump it too soon. Matthew Norberg's going to slot in line. 4 in a row up there at the front. Toomey kind of cautious on the brakes in the first turn. That's going to give an advantage to San Angelo State. Going to be able to keep in front of the A&M machine. Toomey up there in the wall. Barely avoided it, the number 4 machine did, and he's going to get right up next to Toomey as they go into turns 3 and 4. Toomey losing out a couple positions. A&M down low on the Virginia machine as well. Jamie Lawrence going to try to get involved again. Toomey slipping down the field.
And none of these drivers want to give an inch. Now we see Toomey falling back, Lawrence, Rogers, and everybody else moving onward. Jamie Lawrence continuing to move up, though. We get on board now with Ryan Fenty, looking to track down your leader, guys. The gap no more. Although Ryan Fenty under fire from Nordberg as the 7th caution comes out.
Looks like Maximilian Bowie for USC. We'll wait to see what kind of happened there. So he's up on the high line. Let's see if he gets a little bit of help here Might just be a little bit of net code there, and he had some help from the car behind, and just a little bit unfortunate. So net code, I think, a factor in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. There you see the 17. That's Yuri Ismail from the University of Reading in the United Kingdom. And yeah, just a little touch there, guys. And we talk about the tire situation. These were some newer tires, but yeah, right here, it doesn't take much to get that car turned around. The car is on such an edge, such a limit when we have that, coming out of the corner and going up over where that car gets very light.
Yeah, and I've got Christian Gomez choosing to come down into the pit lane again. Very interesting maneuver from him. We'll see what his plan is to finish this race out with 14 to go. I'm hoping for a green flag restart and then just green flag all the way to the finish. It's been a little bit of time since we've seen one. Quite a few wrecks last time at Daytona, and would like just a nice clean finish from these guys. I'm sure everybody else in the field wants to. A couple guys getting the lucky dog rule and able to kind of reclaim that lap. So Nathan Kuhl, the old 27, moved up 11 positions since the start. He's running in 12th right now after starting 23rd overall. And a couple other cars making a lot of space up there. Jamie Lawrence, I think we mentioned earlier, he moved up a lot of positions. And he's moved up a total of 24 positions by my calculations right here. That's definitely going to put him in the run for the Hard Charger Award, and pretty stoutly too, I might add. A couple other alumni smattered around the field as well. Ted Burns still back there. Not the cleanest race for Ted Burns we've ever seen. He's sitting behind Gage Anderson. A little bit of a strange outing for the UTA machine. We've seen it have a lot of pace, especially in the practices, and last week at Daytona had a pretty strong finish, but not doing so well tonight, losing a little bit of pace on the high line. It didn't seem like that high line strategy was working for him. I'm going to look to see if he's going to try to kind of adopt everybody else's strategy and just get a little bit forceful with these last 14 laps and try to reclaim some of that ground.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, we are getting ready. Lights still on the pace bar, getting ready to think about what we're going to do at the end of this race. And Jarrett, looking like you have a crystal ball in your back pocket, the number 4 machine of Michael Kolick. You mentioned him at the start, and he is ready to pounce as much as anyone else on this restart.
Yeah, and I tell you what, another guy to keep in mind. You saw Christian Gomez go down pit lane. He's back up to 9th after cycling through these pit stops, 9th or 10th. And he doesn't want to keep that set of tires in the hauler. He came on and put them on. He's got fresh stickers on the car. And while it might only be 5, 6, 7 laps difference, we saw how much difference 20 laps made. So maybe that just makes just enough difference for the 65 and maybe jumps him up a couple spots here at the end. But yeah, definitely pay attention to that 4 car before it's said and done.
Yeah, I think that'll probably at least bump Gomez up to probably a top 10. We know that those tires really only work for those first 3 laps, and then after that they fall off pretty fast after that. So we'll see if he can't kind of try to set one of those fast laps that we know he likes to do towards the end of the race and claim back some of that ground. But he's got some cars in front of him that are not going to want to let him by. So there's your pit stop strategy stint length graphic up there, so you can see who last took tires and when. So Fenty is on pretty old tires compared to some of the cars around. Kaler on a 8-lap old set. Nordberg also on an 8-lap old set. So I'm betting Nordberg's going to be able to nail Fenty here at this restart. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I'm thinking Fenty in that position with those tires might be the odd one out. I'm looking at Matthew Nordberg, but guys, it's going to be tough to get around that 58 machine. We know the leader is very good at restarts. And being the control car, being able to get out, all it takes is to get a half second gap on the cars behind, and suddenly 2nd and 3rd are battling, and you're off to drive off to the sunset. So that's going to be the 58 strategy. And boy, if I was a betting man, you hate to bet on the leader because it's so easy, but it's looking like it's so hard to pass here. And with that 26 in 2nd, we'll see if what these guys can do on the restart. But it's looking like Kaler for me, guys.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to bet against the guy that's leading, especially when his name ends with or starts with a J and ends with Kaler. But we'll see if he can control this race off the restart effectively here. Waiting for that opportunity. He's going to squeeze that throttle in there and get a clean restart. Leading these guys to the green flag. Ryan Fenty trying to hold on to these guys behind. Matthew Nordberg going to dive down low. Nothing doing so far. Going to slot back in behind. Ryan Fenty surprising me, able to hold on to that second place position through to turn 1. Didn't expect to see that. Matthew Nordberg's got a good exit though. Ryan Fenty actually touched the wall there on the exit, looking a little bit further back in the field. That's going to be the 65 machine. That's going to be Christian Gomez making a lot of ground up here early, going to go high line around Jamie Lawrence. Jamie Lawrence going to squeeze him up towards that wall. Jamie Lawrence just kind of having to back out of that a little bit. Christian Gomez making some moves early here in the restart.
Well, Jamie Lawrence did have to give up that line lift. I don't think the 65 was going to. Now sets his sights on Jeremy Rogers for Texas A&M. Meanwhile, Ryan Fente, shout out St. Joseph's for keeping that thing P2 for this long. It's going to be 3 laps under his belt on those tires. Once they come to the line, guys, Matthew Nordberg is ready to go. But I'll tell you who loves to see this is the 58 machine. He's saying, yeah, let's keep those old tires behind me as long as I can. And this is Kaler's time to get out to a jump. Looking back, you mentioned that Gomez coming fast, Lawrence and Rogers also in hot pursuit. So we got a little bit of race going on up front.
Yeah, man, Nordberg's got to make this pass happen right here, right now on Ryan Fenty if he's got any chance of catching Jared Kaler before the end of the race, because Ryan Fenty's just going to continue to slow down Matthew Nordberg, and Matthew's kind of struggling to find his way around him right now. They've got a good gap behind him, not too much worry behind from Michael Kaholich and the ASU machine, and Christian Gomez is going to close in really quickly on Kaholich, though the FIU machine closing in on ASU right now. They're only about, I don't know, probably a tenth or two. He's closing a lot of ground mid-corner, so those new tires are really working for that 65 machine, trying to follow him around this track right now. And up front, still Ryan Fenty able to defend from Matthew Nordberg. Nordberg looking down the inside, nothing doing there, getting a little bit loose from Ryan Fenty on the corner exit there, but Matthew Nordberg's going to regain that momentum and try to make that move happen again. Jared Kaler is probably sitting pretty, very pretty in that car up front right now.
Yeah, we saw Fente a little bit loose and Nordberg a little bit tight during that exchange. We saw that Nordberg trying to get in really deep to the corner, make a diamond out of it, and then come back off. I did see it worked for him a couple times, but that gap's starting to actually open up now. Fenty just a half second off your leader, Jared Kaler. FIU doing the same thing, really trying to get right up to the bumper of that Angelo State machine. He's going to probably wait a few more laps, or he might look low now and figure out when he can put his nose in there. But guys, it's all about getting on the gas sooner than the other guy and trying to get a run just to get a nose before you can get in the following turn. It is now 4 to go for your leader, Jared Kaler.
Yeah, I'm checking race lap times right now, and Ryan Fenty's somehow managed to hang on those tires really well. Set his fastest lap of the race just laps ago at a 22.202, which is an extremely fast lap, and nothing that Matthew Nordberg's really able to respond to right now. So it looks like Fenty might just be able to clinch that second position for the St. Joseph College machine. And the ASU machine trying to defend from Christian Gomez back there right now. That 65 FIU machine hot on the tail of the number 4 car. He's not been able to really make an advantage throughout these last few laps. Those tires really used up in the start, and he made good use of them then, but not anything after that point. A top 5 would still be good for that machine, but I know he smells that podium just in front, and he wants to try to snag that one if he can. Big cars around. That's a couple cars around back there. Thomas Toomey involved. Can't quite tell. Looks like Austin Farr involved as well. Big accident back there.
And it looked like Lemcool as well. So that will be our, looks like a green-white checker will be in effect. Those cars coming across. But yeah, guys, Jared Kaler, doing his best to get out there. And looking like Christian Gomez was really seeing if he could put a move on that 4 machine.
So we'll wide and see what happened here. So a couple cars getting pretty close right there. So one up in the wall and then down and collected another car on the way back down off the wall. So a bit of a feature of Dover, very narrow track, and that sloping really helps make sure that a car comes back down the inside. So we're looking at Toomey right now, and it looks like that'd be Carl Lemkel that got up in the wall and smashed into Toomey on his way back down there. So unfortunate for that Virginia machine. We've seen him in a number of unfortunate incidents tonight, and just doesn't seem to be his night.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, and we'll have to see where the leader was when that white flag was taken and what we had. And so these guys coming through now. Looks like Kaler will remain your leader. Fenty, Nordberg, Kolick, Rogers, Lawrence back in that 7th position. Boy, does he love that number 7. And guys, shout out Alex Jensen from Embry-Riddle University in that 45 machine.
Yeah, he's moved up 16 spots so far this race and doing very well for that top 10 finish so far, and we'll see if he can't hang on to that. I'm curious to see what's going to happen at this restart with Ryan Fenty. So we're talking about his tires before, and we were mentioning his lap times, and that he was actually looking like he was able to hang on to those tires pretty well. But at this stage, I don't know if that's going to last like that for this advantage, and we'll see what the difference in tire performance is between Norberg and Fenty on this green-white checker restart. I know Norberg smells that second place position. He probably wants to get up and win this race if he can. Jared Kaler's going to do everything that he can to avoid that from happening, but we'll see what happens up there. ASU machine also not going to wait to try to make any moves happen here. He's trying to get his tires and keep them in that working range, giving a little bit of weaving there through the corners to keep some heat in them. And then 65, FIU machine just behind as well. So we'll see what happens with that top 5 cars. I think it's probably looking pretty for Jared Kaler still at the front there. I bet he'll be able to hold off Ryan Fenty at this restart.
Yeah, you hope so. He's got every advantage, and these guys coming through, there's not a lot of time, so it usually takes a lap or two once that leader gets the jump for P2 to catch, if it's possible. And we're not gonna have that much time. So I think that still my money's on Jared Kaler, UNC Charlotte, but we shall see here as we come down to the wire. But I'll tell you what, guys, even if the leader gets a jump, everybody from third on back is going to go at roughly the same time, have a roughly the same advantage, and it's going to be tough. We're going to have to watch a lot of give and take. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a couple more cars around before this one. We'll see if these guys can negotiate their way to the end here.
Yeah, so Jarrett, what are your predictions here for the end of the race? Do you think we're going to get a clean restart here on the green-white checker, or we think there might be some too much jostling for position back there in the field?
I tell you what, we've had clean restarts, but at this point, it's no holds barred. It's going to be a knock 'em out, drag 'em out kind of finish. And here's my bold prediction. That wreck that you're going to see after the green flag, it's going to occur somewhere in the 6th, 7th, 8th place. Those guys that maybe get checked up just a little bit on the restart, and guys that want to go behind them and just can't go anywhere, and you're going to get run over from the guys behind. So pay attention to that alumni leader, Jeremy Rogers, the alumni second place, Jamie Lawrence, and see how they're able to navigate this inevitable checkup here on this restart.
Yeah, that would have big championship implications too if either of the two of them got involved in an incident. So they're starting to form up, get 2 by 2 here on the restart. We'll see if Ryan Fenty is able to hang on to that second place here on this restart, but not quite sure. Sometimes in these restarts you can kind of preemptively guess when the guy's going to go at the throttle. And we know Austin Farr tends to go very early. Jared Kaler tends to go somewhat in the middle. And then other guys like to wait right up until the line. So if Ryan Fenty knows that, he might be trying to sort of plan his restart here a little bit more effectively just to keep Matthew Norberg behind him a little bit longer. But we'll see what happens here just about half a lap before we take that InnoVetted Labs green-white checkered flag and just a race to the finish from that point forward. So Jared Kaler on the bottom end. Jarrett, take us away for this restart.
Keep in mind these used tires, you will get tire spin if you do it incorrectly. If you just slam that throttle down, you thunderfoot that loud pedal a little bit, you might get those rear tires to spin a little bit. The 58 checks the field up into turn 4, and he's off. Fenty sliding down to that bottom side right behind. Nordberg slides in. Top 3, single file.
Yeah, and the 007 machine able to get in front of Jeremy Rogers on that Peter Stothard down low as well. Looks like Christian Gomez able to take away the 4th position from ASU. So FIU up in the top 4 right now, looking for a podium position, trying to steal it away from Matthew Norberg. Right on the tail, Matthew Norberg getting really close to Ryan Fenty's car up in front. Jared Kaler still got a good gap behind him. Final lap here at Dover. We'll see what happens, but looks like Christian Gomez getting really racy on Matthew Norberg's tail right now. Josh.
Christian Gomez wants the action. He wants the smoke. He'll have one more time, but he might have to defend into the final corner. He will do so. The InnoVetted white flag almost to a conclusion here, and your winner will be, again, Jared Kaler in that 58 machine. Guys, UNC Charlotte made it through, followed by Fenty. Nordberg, big accident behind. Big trouble. Virginia involved. Looks like Embry-Riddle involved as these guys come through. Gomez, Koelich, Lawrence, Rogers, Stother, Walker, Morse, your top 10 for this race. But a solid effort, guys. And Christian Gomez with his windshield and his mirror full, trying to get through and maintain his position and see if he could pick up another one to the end. Really hard-fought race by the whole top 10.
Yeah, what an amazing finish right there. Gomez making up a lot of ground and trying to really battle for that podium and taking away, but just couldn't quite make it happen and had to check out and defend from the ASU machine. So really want to highlight that number 4 car. Great showing for the ASU team out here on their initial race in this series. So really good job from them. We see that car up top there giving nice way to these guys trying to race their way to the finish. So Jared Kaler, I had his name on my sheet before this race, but you know who else I had up there was Austin Farr. Austin Farr finishing down there in 19th place after starting on pole position, 3 laps down. So unfortunate race for Austin Farr, losing a whole heap of ground in the championship. Jared Kaler treating us to some nice donuts right there on the main straight. Pretty good ones too, I might add.
So as Jared Kaler birds it down on the front straightaway, joining us is going to be the 3rd place finisher in the students. It's Matthew Nordberg joining us. And Matthew, take us through that final green-white checker.
Yeah, that last restart was really intense. I had Gomez in my mirror, and I knew he's been quick all race. I think the caution flag and the green flag run kind of caught him out, so he fought back to the field. So I knew he had the pace. I just had to hold him off there at the end, and it was a really good fight.
That's awesome, man. So we spoke with you a little bit about tire wear and the track changing over time. How did the track do? Did you have to change where you were running to find grip? Did you have to change your inputs?
I think as the track evolved, I think I used a bit more brake to kind of hold the bottom line more. I found a bit more speed around there. I don't know how it was on tire wear compared to other guys, but I was finding it pretty quick. So other than that, I think the middle and top link really got, there was just no grip up there as the runs went on.
Definitely. Well, it looks like you made it work for you, coming home 3rd place in the student category, 3rd overall. Matthew Nordberg, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we send you on your way?
If any of my friends are still watching, thanks for coming. Hi, everybody. So, yeah, great fun. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and you definitely have quite a bit of a fan club cheering for you here tonight.
Really?
Absolutely, they're all stoked for you. So congrats again on that 3rd place finish. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
So Matthew Nordberg right there coming away 3rd place, and everyone in the chat all excited for him, and you guys love to see that, don't you?
The drivers are happy, the fans are happy, and absolutely love to see it. Guys, we've seen Nordberg up front, mixing it up since his debut, and awesome to see him put it on podium here, 3rd place at one of the hardest tracks that we go to.
Now joining us up here in the booth is your winner, the number 58 car of Jared Kaler. And Jared, you saw the yellow come out, green-white checker. What goes through your mind as soon as that yellow flag enters the air?
That everyone has another chance to get to my back bumper and try and be out of the way, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I knew I had to nail the restart there, and luckily I did, and built a big enough cushion where no one could really get back to my back bumper and try and move me out of the way.
Yeah, it looks like you were able to hold off Ryan Fenty and Matthew both behind. I think you kind of lucked out. They were trying to battle with each other for a good portion of that, and so didn't have to worry too much about them. But tell me about your battle early on with Austin Farr. He looked like he had a lot of pace early on. What do you think happened to him, and how were you able to hang on to him for so long?
I just couldn't get within really like 3 or 4 tenths of him. I would just get kind of like tied and then kind of burn up the right front tire. But during that green flag cycle that everyone, I guess, was pitting for some reason, he got a speeding penalty, he told me. And that kind of just took him out of contention. And I was questioning the call that everyone was kind of making there to pit on lap like 80 to 90ish, because I was like, you can make it on fuel, so why are you kind of pitting, and you'll go 2 laps down. And I didn't think tires were going to be worth that much. So I was a bit confused with why everyone was pitting, and then Austin just kind of bit the bullet and got caught for speeding there.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about that time coming down the backstretch after caution. It looked like there was a GCU car, the 15 machine of Derek Jennings, who was coming down the track as you were leading, trying to get back to the pace car. How far did your stomach jump up, and walk us through that one a little bit?
I jumped up pretty much through my mouth. I mean, he stopped there, and I was like, okay, he's gonna say stop, and then I was going low, and then all of a sudden he started rolling, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, 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 and I just kind of like gassed it up through there, and I don't know how close it was, but it felt like it was pretty close to
We're here to
getting
tell you
clipped
it's
right there.
pretty close. So
Okay.
excellent work. Congratulations. A mixture of luck and skill this evening. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Jared Kaler, the floor is yours. Anyone you want to give a shout out before we head to the InnoVetted victory lane?
I just want to say on April 30th, 2019, there was a tragedy at UNC Charlotte, and 2 people lost their lives in that tragedy, and just got to say this one's for them.
Well, fantastic showing for them here tonight. Congrats again on that win, and I'm sure we're going to talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
So is Jared Kaler, your student winner and overall winner here tonight. And, I wanted to see the battle between Farr and Kaler, but sometimes you just got to be consistent the whole way. We heard Farr doing 38 in that 35 zone, and that's going to cost him the win here tonight.
Yeah, a rare mistake from Farr on that one. We don't see him do something like that very often at all. So I'm sure he's going to look to rectify that next time out.
Joining us up in the booth now is Jamie Lawrence, who's going to come away 6th overall, but first in that alumni category. So another win for Jamie Lawrence and the San Diego State team here tonight. And Jamie, talk us through that final restart. We were talking about it up here in the booth. You were kind of in that danger zone, not quite in the front and not quite in the back, just stuck somewhere in the middle of that train. How nervous were you coming to that green flag?
Yeah, I wasn't too excited when that final caution came out. I was pretty happy sitting in second in class and I think like 7th on track. So I knew that opened up possibilities for more mistakes. So I was just hoping to kind of either keep my position or stay in the top 10 at least, and then ended up jumping Jeremy Rogers, the fellow alumni, on the start and got ahead, and the most nerve-wracking last lap of my life, and kept him behind, and then I guess came away with a win.
Yeah, it looks like you probably took away the hard charger award on that as well. Started 30th and ended up 6th. So what was it like the entire race working your way up the field?
Pretty exciting. Yeah, with oval, I'm not as experienced, so I try and start from the back and just kind of progress my confidence as the race goes on. But yeah, the first caution was caused by me kind of just making contact with Carl, so I thought I was kind of out then. Was a lap down, then came back around and managed to get all the way back up. So just kept it as clean as possible. There's one send in there where I kind of overtook 3 cars, brake checking. That managed to pay off. It was kind of risky, but yeah, the rest was kind of just pretty cautious moves.
Yeah, it sounded like you didn't have too much practice. Got in a little bit later to the session. So over the course of the race, what did you learn about the oval side, the Dover, the racetrack, and the cars and the tire wear here that you can carry into the rest of the oval season?
I think, yeah, just being super smooth coming to turns. The corner entries is huge here, and I'm just trying to take a different line almost every corner, it seems like. So just getting that nailed down, and then kind of just being super smooth on the exits as well, and trying to figure out where to actually apex, if that's a thing, really. But yeah, kind of just a learning process. A lot of fun. It's totally different technique, so it's kind of cool to learn, and it's also fun to try it out on a Formula rim as well.
Definitely a bit of a challenge there for the 007 machine. Well, before that machine heads on to the InnoVetted Labs victory lane, anyone you want to say to the fans at home?
Shout out you guys. You put on an awesome broadcast every week, and I love watching it back, so I can't wait to see this one.
Well, it should be a fun one for you to watch back. Jamie Lawrence coming away your alumni winner and 6th overall. Congrats again, and I'm sure we're going to talk to you again soon.
Thanks very much, guys.
So Jamie Lawrence right there, and you heard right there, final restart. All bets are out the window. Everyone's heart rate goes up, and it's all a matter of kind of roll the dice sometimes, guys.
Yeah, definitely rolling the dice. I'm very curious to see what Jerry Rogers is going to have to say about that one. I don't know if he's too happy to see Jamie Lawrence in front of him on that standing sheet after this one. That's 2 weeks in a row they just lost out to Jamie, so will be interesting to see what he has to say about it.
Definitely. And before we hear from him, we're going to jump over to the second place finisher overall and the second place finisher in the student category, and that's Ryan Fenty. And Ryan, we saw you put on the fresh Goodyear Eagles and charge your way up through the field, not once, but twice here tonight. Talk about that strategy for you.
Yeah, so it was more of a forced strategy because I slammed the wall right before that first caution came out. And when we restarted, I dropped from 5th to 8th, and that next caution came out, and I was like, well, I got to do something here. So I put on tires, and then when the next green flag run, I made it from 23rd to 4th, and that was like, oh, this can work. I can use this.
Yeah, well, it certainly did work for you. So were you a little bit worried there at the end? Matthew Nordberg had a little bit earlier or a little bit later pit stop, so he had some fresher tires on you. What did you think you'd be able to hold them off like you did?
Honestly, I had no idea. I thought we were all pretty even, so I was at first I was so hoping to get that second, and then the green white checker came out, and I was like, oh man, here we go. I'm glad I was able to cut him off every single time though, and I felt a little bad doing that, but he was a little slower off the start, and I was able to just cut him off right before one.
Yeah, how were you able to change your drive style on the entry and exit of the corner to maintain that position? I saw that looks like you were maybe a little bit loose on the end. Looked like Nordberg and NC State a little bit tight on corner exit. Do you use that to your advantage?
Yeah, it was more so a hope and a prayer. I was pretty loose entering the corner a lot, which made me run that second line. And Norberg, he was able to run that lower line. I think usually, though, when I came across in front of him to get that exit, I think I might have tightened him up a few times and sent him flying toward the wall, which saved me some more time into the next corner.
Well, it looked like it worked out for you pretty well here tonight, climbing all the way back to second place. Ryan Fenty, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we send you on your way?
Yep. Shout out to all my friends here. They're supporting me every time. I'm glad I could finally get a podium here. I'm so happy with that. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for running all of this, especially the sponsors. I'm so glad I can finally like play iRacing and like enjoy it and like kind of stream it and show all my friends what I enjoy. So this has been so cool. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, great fun watching you climb through that field, and I'm sure it's not the last time we're going to talk to you this season.
Fingers crossed.
That's Ryan Fenty, guys, and what a good race there, wasn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I think some of my favorite parts were the potential undercut and tires that we had. A couple tire situations. You heard Ryan Fenty trying to get a little bit off schedule, said it worked to his advantage. I think some of us in the booth even might have been doubters on that scenario. And then you saw the rest of the tires come to be. So looks like we've got our final interviewee, Jeremy Rogers, Texas A&M.
Howdy, guys.
Jeremy, second place in the alumni category, 7th overall. And we talked to Jamie just a moment ago, and he talked about that final restart. Sees the yellow come out, kind of frustrated, and then we saw you two mix it up on that final restart. So talk us through that battle, knowing that it's you guys for that alumni victory.
Yeah, I was really disappointed to see the green white checker come out. I'm not really a fan of anything NASCAR's done after 2003, so definitely my opinion hasn't improved tonight. But I mean, great. Jamie did exactly what he had to do on the restart. He didn't let me get in the gap. He got a better grip to his tires in first gear. I tried a second gear restart, and it was the wrong call. Like, well done to Jamie.
Yeah, man, that's 2 weeks in a row that Jamie's finished in front of you in that battle. What do you got to do to take the battle to Jamie next week out and try to get back up on top there?
I don't know. I did notice it with Jamie behind me. I was like, man, hopefully the lap traffic works to my advantage this week. No, didn't work out.
Well, I'm sure we're going to see the 112 car back up towards the front of the field again, and maybe that I don't know will turn into an I don't need to know, and you'll be leading the alumni charge. So, Jeremy Rogers, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to here before we send you on your way?
Just you guys. I appreciate you guys putting all the effort into the broadcast. You guys do a great job with the league as well. Appreciate all your work.
Always fun when you guys put a great show on track for us to bring to you guys. Jeremy Rogers, congrats again. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
That's going to do it. Number 2 in the alumni category, number 7 overall. And that's a fun little, we'll call it a class battle that we have here in the CIL. Not only are we racing all together at once, but you have the alumni battling the students battling the alumni, but you're also battling your own class. So really cool to see, and all done with the support of NextBookIt. So we're going to hear from them, and then we'll come back for the final race results here at Dover. All right, so you just saw right there. NextBookIt connects book lovers with each other to buy and sell all their books, from textbook to fiction and everything in between. For every account that is created with the code CIL2021, that's CIL 2021, NextBookIt will donate $5 to the CIL Scholarship Fund, which gets redistributed right back to the drivers you saw on your screen tonight. So any drivers that need a car, need a track, NextBookIt providing the funds to get them out on the track and keep them racing. So NextBookIt, a great supporter and partner here of the CIL. So as we get set to finish up from here at Dover, let's run through your final results. And this is going to be overall. So this is going to be students and alum all mixed on in, and we'll keep you abreast of who is who. The top 5 all students. Jared Kaler, your winner from UNC Charlotte. Right behind him, 7/10 back, is Ryan Fenty from St. Joseph's in New York. Matthew Nordberg from NC State finishes 3rd. Christian Gomez from FIU finishing 4th. Michael Kolik from Angelo State in his debut, pulling out a top 5. Great run for the Angelo State team. And Jamie Lawrence, your alumni winner, finishing 6th. Jeremy Rogers, another alumni, finishing 7th. Peter Stother, back to the students, finishing in 8th from Harriet-Watt University. Avery Walker from the University of Virginia, finishing 9th. Henry Morse from UC Berkeley in 10th. Nathan Kuhl, the 3rd place finisher in your alumni, finishing in 11th position here tonight. Alex Jensen, a student from Embry-Riddle, finishing in 12th. Prather Silverthorne, an alumni from the Colorado School of Mines, finishing 13th overall. Derek Jennings, a student from Grand Canyon University, in 14th. In 15th, Jerron Valley, a student from the University of Wisconsin at Oshkosh, in 15th overall. Ted Burns, an alumni from the University of Wisconsin, in 16th. Scott Ratliff, an alumni from Pittsburgh State, will finish 17th here tonight. And back to the students, downtown Kenny Brown from the University of Virginia, coming away 18th. Carrying on down your finishing order, Austin Farr, student from University of Tennessee. We saw him up at the front. Just a heartbreaking day for him as he finishes 19th. And you see it on your scoreboard there, 3 laps down. Tough night for the Tennessee team. Thomas Toomey finishes 20th here from the University of Virginia. Andrew McCull, an alumni from Purdue, finishing 21st. Carl Emkuhl, an alumni from St. Louis University, finishing 22nd. Yuri Ismail, back to the students, finishing 23rd. Gage Anderson from UT Arlington, finishing 24th. Maximilian Bowie from USC, finishing 25th. Cooper Glick from Grand Canyon in 26th. And Esteban Munros in 27th for FIU. John Tyndall, the final of your alumni, in 28th from VCU. And rounding out your field, Roger Gregory and Nick Beaver, 29th and 30th. So guys, as we wrap this one on up, boy, that was that was a lot of fun there at the end. And I know the guys don't like the green-white checker, and I guess let's ask your opinions on the green-white checker. Do you like it? Do you not like it? And do you like how this race turned out? Josh?
Well, yeah, I don't think I've ever liked any race format that's netted me a lower finishing position. So I'll throw that one out there. Yeah, I wouldn't expect much, from Rogers. Positive on that note after tonight, but the green-white checkered, it gives us an opportunity to finish up under green, so we're not rolling and coasting across the finish line. So I think that's always our goal, and certainly something that we're used to seeing in a lot of the a lot of the series and formats that we look at and that we watch for entertainment. So yeah, I think that's a fine format. And overall, the racing was very solid tonight. Guys, we talked about giving way in the corners, being able to run different strategies. Talked about the tire strategy that I thought was pretty entertaining, as well as the different lines. Saw guys trying to come in high, trying to run high the whole corner, and then trying to run low the whole corner, all in an effort to save tires. And I think we all saw some success in each of those runs. So these guys will add Dover to their notebooks and setup notes, and it'll be exciting next time we come back.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. To answer your question on the green white checker, Jared, I'm kind of split. I don't know. I'm pretty new to the whole track thing overall. I've been doing road courses for most of my life, so still trying to get accustomed to it. But I do like having some green flag action bringing us to the finish. So in terms of that, I'm a fan of it, and I know Jared Kaler was pretty happy to be able to race to the finish there too, and good to see the UNC Charlotte machine up top again. But as we had great racing this week, definitely looking forward to next week. Some more great racing to come yet at Suzuka on the roadside. We're headed to Japan next week for the GTE GT3 battle that will inevitably happen out there. So Suzuka, very challenging track, one of the coolest tracks, a Formula One circuit, and a very famous one as well. So we'll be sure to bring you a great broadcast and a great race next week as well at Suzuka. Jared, I'm sure you're looking forward to that one as well.
Oh, no doubt about that. Such high speed corners and a very technical track as well. We talked about patience here tonight. Drivers will definitely need to be patient next week, and it's going to be a fun little track. You mentioned the GTE GT3 split. That's always fun to see how the alumni navigates traffic, and we saw it last week even. So it'll be very cool to see these guys continue to race with each other, and each week learning how each other races and who can send it in a corner and who you maybe want to wait behind, and maybe a rivalry gets reunited next week. So we'll be sure to be tuned in to that. And if you want more oval racing action, be sure to tune in 2 weeks time, as this field will head back to Charlotte Motor Speedway, not the Roval. We're going to the regular oval, and instead of 600 miles, we'll do slightly less than that, about 1 hour of your time on Tuesday night. So be sure to tune in for that. So for one last time here at Dover, hope you guys all enjoyed. It was a pleasure bringing this one to you. For myself, John, and Josh up here in the booth, it's been a pleasure. Thank you once again to not only NextBookIt, but InnoVetted Labs as well for providing everything you see on your screen in front of you. So we'll see you next time. Make sure you tune in 1 week's time to Suzuka, and if not, we'll see you in 2 weeks at Charlotte.